Hi, I'm Alexander Blanc.
I'm Julia Walter.
I'm
Hello.
Galerie Beyond. Let me hear. Do you have some question, or maybe that I tell first of all, because Alexander, you were asking me already that you were curious and you wanted to know why I put you together in the exhibition. Sometimes it's not logical. I cannot explain because I trust also my inner feelings. But it's this the title explains, I think, a little bit what I was feeling and noticing on both of your work. That you, the drawings. Can you explain me, Julia, because we didn't have to talk about this, how you came this drawing? Is this a way where you start every time? Is it just...
Well, I have started drawing already a couple of years ago to find new forms, because the question is, how do we find our forms? So we always need to refer to something. So I have had also forms that I adapted from existing forms. Like, for example, highway signs and other symbols that I then adapted into something, or I kind of created my own, I wouldn't say icons, but like my own. I have a couple of forms that really are like this, and then I'm kind of using this shape and transform it into, like, I can then work with that one shape and transform it. So if I find a form, I like to what's the right word, like transform it again, or like stretch it sometimes by drawing, make it bigger or smaller, or just add a little bit. But I also like to scan it in and then on my computer transform it, like stretch and make it bigger, smaller, squeeze it and press it. And yeah, that's how then I print it out, cut it in paper, maybe sometimes draw again. So it's a process of finding, and that's forms that I used to find in existing forms, but then also creating new forms is actually a challenge, because we're always referring to something. So I started drawing really in the morning when I'm kind of still sleepy, and I have lots of these drawings which are also doesn't make any sense, you know, like line drawings. And then I do the same thing with these line drawings and cut them out, and some work and some don't. And I have plenty of these, and yeah, I collect them in a catalog. And then I can also, so not every piece I have to do the same process. Oh.
Yeah,
we can continue.
Oh, we can continue. Okay. Yes, not every piece needs this whole process, because I have this catalog also. So some form I can, like, I have the, let's say, the plan for all the forms that I have made in two-dimensional forms that I have made, so I can go back and work on them again. The nice thing is that I'm not like cutting them out in a machine. I'm doing everything by hand. So even if it's the same form, it's always a tiny bit different, because I like to be hand making these pieces. So I can go back to a form that I had already developed a year or more ago, but then if I cut it out with my own hand, it's always a little bit different, because then there's a cut that is, I mean, a couple of millimeters to this or to that side. And I like to work with paint, and I also love to have this, you know, accident that happens sometimes with paint and color that I can't control.
Yeah.
So it's control and not control that what I'm like interested in. Yeah.
How important is the morning hour for your drawings, or do you just start in the morning and end
It's
late at night?
the morning hour is kind of the nice thing about the morning hour is that it's really plain. Because if you do it if I would do it I also draw at night, but that's different because then I already have this whole, what happened during the day and like kind of influence from the day. In the morning is really plain. It's like fresh. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think it's interesting that because in mornings, I mean, in German there's this Morgenstund hat Gold im Mund. I guess you know it, Julia. This focus on like that there's something creative, new happening in the morning, which is only possible in the morning to somehow get started. And you lost all the weight from the day before, and as you said, you're plain. You can just start over. I think it's quite nice, but what does this plain like mean? I mean,
well, it really started because I'm a very vivid dreamer. I have a lot of dreams that I remember. So I have started to write these dreams like in words in the morning, but I stopped because I never found it so satisfying to put these dreams, which are very, free into, because the moment I'm translating it in words, I'm already making a story, which is much stricter than the actual dream. So that's how I started drawing, because for me it was also a bit like going from this dream, still having this feeling of this dream and transforming it into something, which is not words. But actually right now I'm trying to do the word like this text thing. I'm more interested in text at the moment again, and also trying to find an alphabet, and so I'm a little bit occupied with words again as well. But it's not only being super fresh in the morning, but also trying to transport this dreamland into dreamland. Sounds a little bit cheesy, but this kind of sleep world into the day world.
I mean, it's also, I guess, a funny time, like when you just wake up, you have these like, where am I now? There's still like this flashbacks from your dreams, or you were lying in a strange position and you're still not feeling your body completely, and you still have these ideas of what happened during the night, and then you realize, okay, what's coming next? And I like this in-between situation a lot about this. And I can imagine that's like doing spontaneous or emotional drawings. I mean, emotional is also a bit cheesy, but to have this strange mixture of a situation and start doing a drawing in the morning, I think it's quite a interesting, let's say, space-time situation.
Yeah, because it doesn't really, it has no purpose yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because these drawings, some of them are also, I don't then get anything out of them. So, but some have then, like they only become, there is a purpose then when I take them to the studio and look at them and cut them out, and work with them. But in the morning, I don't think about that kind of process. Mm-hmm. And it also, of course, I don't have time every morning to do that. Like my week normally is like also this rhythm. So it's also a bit of a luxury moment when I can like have this weekend that I'm like waking up, early, but I don't actually have to jump up and start the day, but just have this time. Has a lot to do with time here.
I kind of also like when you say that that some of the drawings they don't give you anything, which I think is nice, that you just because I mean, of course you're an artist and you will try to work with these shapes that you were drawing, but on the other hand you also don't have like it's not completely necessary that you use everything you draw. You just do it, and you have like you make an archive of something, and then you can do something with it or not. It's not like you're not in the design mode that you have to create something crazy good right now that you will sell in 3 days. You just do something that you can work with.
Hardly works. Yeah, but you know, it's a little bit the same like with the kids' drawings. Like, who would have known that your sons that you made like when you were like 8 or something, or even younger, 40 years later will be, oh, sorry, I don't know how old you are, but a couple of years, 10, like 30 years later, they will have
46 last week.
They will have this purpose, you know, or there will be this whole different thing, you know, that they become something else. And I'm always keeping stuff, you know. Sometimes it also is important later, becomes important later.
I have a question to you, Alexander, about your sons and the way you work with your other work as well. So we all know that sons are coming from your drawings when you were a child, but the other way of working, do you work mostly in the same rhythm, in the same way of working? Like Julia just explained, does it start with text or with visuals, or with how do you work? Do you have a certain way of working? Does it have the same language, or does it change? Or did it change by time?
I mean, I cannot say it completely, but I mean, I want to change quite often, but I guess sometimes I come back to the same things again, or I log in the same rhythm of working again, but I try to each new work to get a new approach to it. But of course I have my own history that I will repeat, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly I mean, I don't do drawings that much, I have to say. I do sometimes it makes sense to do drawings, but I'm not that easy with drawings, and I rather make material tryouts or anything.
Okay.
And I write down some like ideas. I have like a few books where I just write silly sentences or ideas or something I saw and I thought was weird, and then most of the time the visual and the idea of it at some point go together, where I can try out something with the material, or I tried out something with the material. I mean, I can show you I'm in my studio that's like plenty of material tryouts which didn't go anywhere yet, or are at a certain point but not quite there where I wanted, and then all of a sudden it makes sense to do it in a way, and then like a series comes out of it, or a piece of work or whatever. And I think that's quite common, that it just develops. Like there are many ideas that are in a very basic state, or almost there. I don't know how to say it. And that's, I guess, how I work. But like the way it turns out, I think is different. Or
Yeah,
I think
you can see that there is a lot of three-dimensional in different material. You showed it very quickly, but there's visual, there is a lot to see. So you start right away in the same, let's say, in the real size, because these are objects not too big, or do you mini?
I mean, I also have bigger objects which are more in the basement. Because my studio is quite small at the moment, I can't keep them to look at them. So I have to just have the small ones here. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's like with Julia's drawings. I mean, I start in a size that feels okay for now, and then if it goes towards the pieces, it can change and vary at that point. But I mean, materials, they also like they work better in a bigger size than in a small size, or some work in a small size very nicely. And I think
yeah, but I really think material experiments, I'm doing a lot of material experiments too, and I keep them like an, you know, we are also in these years, what you just said, or like 2 minutes ago, that you build up a history. I think that's like building up a library of ideas, because we, I mean, are already working since I graduated in 2007. I don't know, when did you get out of school? I think at least, I mean, during school, of course, we also just like, you know, experiment even more probably, but then for me, like, since I really was independent working out of school, I kind of started really being precise with archiving, I can't say, but trying to archive my ideas and thoughts, because I thought they were precious, and I have to go back, even if it doesn't, I have to be able to go back to this idea, although it might not be valuable or transformed into something right now. I have to be able to go back to that. So we have like all these drawers or tables or closets full of stuff. This is how I think all of us work in a way. But then, yeah, only, I mean, I used to have to make 100 pieces, and then only one of them were like good, when I was still like in this process of just like cutting, making. And that's also why I thought paper is so much nicer. It's easier to archive. You can even scan it in and store it on your, you know, and print it out again. So the two-dimensional is actually for me also really interesting. Yeah, but I think material and paper archives are just the essence of what we are, like how we, like where we are getting our stuff out of, like after all these years, I guess.
Interesting. That's just, sorry for interrupting, but there was a question coming up, like how important is it then for both of you to keep, let's say, the real examples of, because you can make from everything a picture, but it's not the same. So if I see the table of Alexander, it's full of small three-dimensional studies about new forms, new shapes, but you can scan them in, you can take a picture, but that's not, I think it's not the same. So you're surrounded with your library, but these are really, most of the time, real stuff. The things that you made yourself, or things that you collect, and what gives you a kind of, let's say, the right feeling to something, and it's meaningful because you're going to keep it, and maybe you can go back to it to use it, maybe not today, but maybe because it tells you something. But you can also make a picture or make a drawing from it and keep that. It would be easier, but it's not the same. I see Alexander.
Well, in the end, we are suckers for objects. That's why we are making.
Yeah.
In all these elements, I mean, to take a photo of it, I mean, of course you can look through and you remember, there was this material that I used, but if it's there, you can just take it.
Yeah.
You know, you take this and you take whatever, this, and you can just do this.
Yeah.
And this is,
Yeah,
and then you can think of how might I connect it or not. It's already in the process. And like just looking at the images, it's still a virtual somehow.
Or maybe you still have any questions about specific work things for us?
I think the most important that I got an answer on that was to know, to get to know you a little bit better and to hear how your process of making is and where does the work come from and
Yeah.
it was not very extraordinary, something that I didn't know, but it's heartwarming, let's say, the way you speak about your own work and your process. That's something what I could feel from the work, but now I could hear it, and that's maybe also the reason. This relationship to the work that I put your work together, it has this kind of, to me, this childhood related kind of inner process, which is very natural and spontaneous way of working. Maybe that Alexander also I could read the way you work on the process that you make your sons from a drawing, but then you with this how do you call it, hand sew?
Yeah, sewing.
Yeah, sewing, which has also yeah, it's I suppose it's quite at the moment itself. It's very accurate at the moment itself. You cannot control. It's let go. Yeah, it's let go. And but sometimes I can. It's not that you put it in a mold and then mold and then it comes out and then it has a certain risk and it becomes a little bit yeah. There's like a tension, I suppose, at the moment itself. And although if you see the finishing pieces, I'm very happy with the blue pieces because it makes them a little bit more, there's more light in the sunshine.
Did you already get drawings from parents with little kids that they wanted to have their...
Yeah, the first ones, no, not of some that want one. I mean, I made a few just as like presents for their kids already, but not that they want one. Sadly,
because actually that would be a nice one too. I also have friends, they have like their kids' first drawings as tattoos, but I would actually prefer a brooch from you instead of a tattoo with this first baby drawing or something. It's really nice.
I mean, what I like about it, that's because I started with the drawings of myself, and then I asked of friends who have kids who already went through that stage when you make this kind of drawings. And I forgot what I wanted to say. Fuck. No, yeah, exactly, because since I started with this, people with kids come to me and like show me the drawings.
Look at this one.
Yeah. Or even I mean, I was really interested in these like strange, I mean, in German it's called wie heißt es, Kopffüßler.
Yeah,
there's this specific term, this period of an age where you draw this in this kind of way. But then also like I just get drawings from their kids and it's really nice.
Oh yeah.
It's like a new kind of archive is starting without me asking for anything. I just get them for my birthday as a present or whatever.
There is a question to you, Alexander, what comes in my mind, but I forgot to ask you. Is there a reason that the sizes of the last series of brooches is smaller than the previous ones? Are you aware of this, or does this came natural?
I think it became natural. It's small because when I finish them, they get like in a box or like in my
How big are they? Like more or less.
Now, before they were like 12 centimeters.
Yeah.
And now around 9, I suppose.
Okay.
More or less. So 9.
I only saw the older ones, not the new one.
Yeah. So they're in a small.
I think it just started to happen.
Okay.
I mean, I just more or less realized when I because I really only put them like in one drawer when they're like with the brooch back, and then they're finished, and then I put them next to the others, and then I see somehow they turned out smaller. Yeah. I don't know why. Because I first saw out like a few of them, and then I work on the brooch backs, and then they're like more or less all finishing in the same week or in 2 weeks or whatever when the brooch backs are done, and then I put them all as a group in the drawer, and then they're next to the other ones, and then I was also a bit surprised, but actually I was quite happy about it because sometimes I want to do smaller things, but I somehow I can't manage. Most of my pieces they just turn out to be big. I don't know. I wish I could do smaller things.
Okay.
And I'm trying sometimes, but I'm not good with it.
The same with you, Julia, because it's the first time that you this series or the first of the series, and there is also a big difference in sizes.
Indeed, that you are having now at the gallery, you mean?
Yeah. The wooden ones, the one from the exhibition, there are like the half circle which is hanging on the wall. That's a rather big piece. But did you decide, or did it came also natural?
No, I think that's a decision which I really make.
Okay.
Because I'm also, what I said earlier, I'm printing it out a lot and cut it out. So I have this size thing really decided. But I think the big one is just also nice, you know, it's like a half, it's full. It's like half, but it's full. It's big. It needs to be big.
Yeah, it's just a question that.
What was the question? Why there is the size difference?
The size difference.
It's nice to have a smaller one as well for maybe somebody who's smaller.
But like you're just explaining that if you play with different sizes and dimensions, that you feel on some pieces that this, for example, needed to be big and the other ones had to be small. That you decided and that you made your choice, because it's like a nice balance in between. The smallest one is the
wave, which is
or the wave. And then the wave is the title of the work as well. And then the biggest one is the half circle. So, and then the rest comes in between. So it's like a nice range of pieces. And I haven't seen, although the let's say the designs or drawings. So I only got these. So
the form exists, but then I can also, I zoom it bigger and print it out bigger and zoom it smaller. But somehow I think these, these two middle forms that you have, that you just mentioned, I think these are also really, really wearable. And the big one is maybe a little bit big, but it's also wearable still. No, it's about how you feel about it.
It's very individual.
But somehow I don't necessarily think about some body while I'm making. I don't know how it is with you, Alex, but I'm
I
not
try
like
to avoid to think
the
about
hands,
Yeah.
but I think, yeah, not with these pieces. I think I haven't been really then. While I decide on the size, I don't think how it looks on the body. But then, of course, I know it a little bit already that this would be okay. But I think also the dimension of the form, I can just, the proportion is decided on paper almost, not on the body. But it comes together, of course, because I have also already made a couple before in that kind of size. So I know more or less that it works.
And how did you came to the curcuma? Is it related to the type of wood that you used? The oak?
No, because I have been using the wood already several years. But the curcuma came with the sun, and this, I think it's, yeah, because I really, I was just looking into dyeing process, and actually we were just painting with curcuma and red beet juice, and then I had these forms and the curcuma paintings, and it was a match.
When should we be there tomorrow?
Are we going to have dinner?
We can have
Where
breakfast.
do we go afterwards?